Here we go.
Oh, God.
Wow.
Well, well, there's...
Ours.
Have you got gas? Oh, God. We ain't got no gas.
Yeah. Fortunately, I had filled up my tank right before the end of the world, and so I'm good. I'm lucky, man. I'm good because I filled up, and then I haven't been anywhere, so we good.
That helps.
Yeah, it's cool.
I was out and about. I believe it was a Tuesday. And, there's the Walmart in town has it's one of the Walmarts that you can get gas a haul at.
Gas a haul.
And I saw the line, and I was like, "What the heck's going on?" I had no clue what was happening. Then I get home and look at Facebook. I was like, "Oh, that was it." Ah, crap. So, one day's good, next day's gone. Well, we'll see.
That's cool. Yeah, we'll get it fixed. We paid off our ransomware, so we can get gas turned back on, I guess. Whatever, man. It's cool.
Break you off a piece.
Yeah. It's that, man. It's been a thing my entire life. I always liked Carrollton because there are sidewalks. And I've always been a fat little kid, and people assume it's because you're lazy. And it's like, well, yeah, I am quite lazy. But I love walking places. Anywhere I can walk, I will walk.
Oh, yeah.
And fortunately, where I live now, man, dude, there's nowhere I need to get to that I can't walk to if I got to. So I'll leave the gas that's not in the pumps there for the people that need it. But nah, it's like whatever, man. I don't even know. Are we still pretending like it's a big deal, or have they turned the shit back on now? Like I said, it was the ransomware thing, and they paid it. So I don't know. I'm not paying attention.
It's one day it's here, the next day it's gone, which is I think how most people said it would go, because as of right now I'm fine just for what's in the tank, but it's one of those kind of deals like I'm riding past, you think of all places, Quick Trip, and I ride past it today, there's nothing but zeros on the board. I'm like, uh-oh. That's bad. That's usually a bad sign.
Well, I'm just not sure where we are, because like I said, we went from there are no qualified truck drivers to get the gas from Texas to Georgia to, oh man, Israel and Palestine to, oh, ransomware in like 72 hours. And I'm like, all right, I guess by the time you cook up the next story, I'll know what's going on. But whatever, man. Like I said, I got nowhere to be. It's fine. Anywhere I need to go, I can walk. And so it's cool.
What's really happening?
Well, that's always my thing, is like, boy, I need to, and I understand why they changed the narrative, the Israel-Palestine narrative. We got away from that real fast, and I understand why, but it's like,
too much heat.
Dude, come on. It's the one subject that you cannot discuss in DC politics. And it's like, all right, man, that's just, that's, anyhow, sorry to get sidetracked, but it's just more of that cute shit where it's like, I say this all the time, True, and this is a fact. All you got to do is go back and look it over. When Republicans are in the White House, Wall Street gets took care of. When Democrats are in the White House, that's when Big Oil gets took care of. Oh, man, damn, no Jimmy Carter, the gas is so expensive, and now Joe Biden's made my gas expensive. Yeah, he sure as shit did. He sure did, because they just spent 4 years not making any money. Now it's their turn, because you're talking about, if we're talking about oil, Wall Street, Big Pharma, I mean, dude, that is who greases DC more so than anybody. The only competition they have is each other for who actually gets in there the most, man. Yeah. So it's like, whatever, man. As far as, well, I knew when Biden won, the gas prices would go back up. Yeah, you're right, but do you know why you're right?
It's calls.
Looks like he's a Democrat. It's their turn. It's their turn. That's how that works, man. That's how it works.
The shoe's on the other foot.
Oh, that's how it works. It's like, nope, we took care of these guys, and now you take care of those guys, because all of them fund us, and we like our little club. Pardon me, man.
These brothers were in there brothering it up. Now this brother's in there brothering it up. They just gonna brother it up together, brother.
Try to do the good. It's give and take. Right hand, left hand. Thus is the nature of brethren.
As his two brothers.
Not are swingers, as in two swing. There's more awesome lines in that movie. It's just the best. And Buford just lying. Already knows his ABCs. Check this out. Hit the deck, boy.
Yeah. Man, my thing that I watched this week that it's not a whole lot to discuss, but Dark Side of the Ring did their Nick Gage episode, and as I'm watching it, I'm just thinking, I guess the idea behind this episode was like, we need to get somebody for on this show, interviewed, sit down with us before they're dead, because it could be any minute with this dude. And as I'm watching it, I'm just sitting there wondering, like, what's the appeal? I don't understand the need to give this person this much time. And but one of the things that came to my mind as I'm watching it, I'm like, a lot of the stuff that I'm seeing this guy do and not liking about him, you could say the same thing about New Jack. And it was kind of odd that New Jack passes away this past weekend, and I don't know. It just seemed to me, as crazy as New Jack was, and as unsafe as New Jack was, there was just still this likable side to him, and I just don't get this likable side with Nick. I'm like, I just don't. I don't know why anybody is liking this guy as much as they claim to. I'm like, I thought maybe the episode would explain some of that. It didn't really do it for me.
The new Dark Side of the Ring, basically, as soon as they put the new graphics out for the new season and it says Nick Gage, the first thing I thought of was, who the fuck is that? And then I looked it up and found out, and I'm like, okay, who the fuck cares? Yeah. And it's not my thing. Like, deathmatch wrestling ain't my thing. And it's just, I don't know. It's like, I mean, I understand why it exists. It's just not for me. Why you picked that guy, I'm not really sure. Because there's way more people that you could do a documentary on that are deathmatch genuine legends, like Necro. Do him. That guy's way more interesting. But it's like, honestly, from what I understand, the only damn reason they did it is because John Moxley's his fucking hero. So it's just like he's in the whole thing doing his little stand-up zing zing zoom hits, and I'm like, well, why didn't you just do one on Moxley if you wanted to profile somebody? Yeah. But it's like, I knew I could skip this one, I guess is what I meant. And so I'm like, nah, it's cool. I'll wait for the next one.
He's Moxley's friend. His biggest claim to fame beyond that is having a death match with David Arquette.
Awesome.
A few WrestleManias ago.
Tell you what,
super duper.
I'd have been a hell of a lot more interested in a wrestling profile of Arquette winning the championship, falling down on his ass, everyone talking shit, and the fact that he's still doing it. That's way more interesting. I don't need that.
I thought that was. I thought they were going to get a little bit more of that with it, but it was all Nick all the time. And I'm
that's what I mean. It's like, that's what I mean. Is just do an episode on David Arquette, which I think they're going to do. Now that I said that, shoot, now I don't remember if I've heard that or not.
Well, when I saw the sizzle reel of this season, and I saw David pop up, I thought that's what they were doing. I don't know if that's maybe when they sit somebody down to do an interview, I think they do try to cover several topics, so probably they'll get around to that.
Yeah, I can see that.
Of this season, one of the big surprises, one of the ones that I was like, ooh, they're doing him, is freaking a Canyon. And how his story played out. Then the next one coming up is the Korean matches with WCW in the 90s and how I don't know, terrible of an idea that was.
It's interesting. It's weird because it's like, the whatever it's called. Like, it's not Clash in Korea, but it's something like that.
It's along those lines.
Yeah, it was terrible. Oh God, no one watched it. La di da. Yeah, it was a hell of a success in North Korea though. So like, I
Yeah.
mean, just hang in there. It's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the show. You go and do wrestling for people that have never seen it before. Of course, they don't get it, but yeah, it's cool, man. They knew who Inoki was, but
Oh yeah.
that one's at least interesting. I'm cool with that. But I don't know. There are several stories. I think it's always been my issue with that show being called Dark Side of the Ring. Is you have to do tragedy shit. Wrestling's got tons of awesome ass stories in it that don't have to have the tragedy angle, and I hate that you've pigeonholed yourself into doing this. Now, there are plenty of stories that have awful endings. Awful. And you can do those too, but, and I don't mean to be so critical because I love those guys. I'm with you. The guys that do the series I think are awesome. It's just as soon as I heard the name of that show, I'm like, man, you could have done a lot more.
Yeah. And it's the catchy name. And I for the most part of the stories that they've decided to do, even the ones that rake you over the coals, they do their best to try to leave you on that upswing. But this is the one that I'm like, hey, Nick Gage says as much in the episodes that I don't expect to live too much longer. And I'm like, I think that was the whole point of this episode is we want to do something that's a little bit more modern, get a guy on screen before he's dead, and we've got to throw in the highly questionable girlfriend. We checked that box too. Don't you worry.
Fantastic. We've got that one.
It's one thing after the other with this guy. It's like every setup to him getting out of prison for robbing a bank, and then he violates parole and goes right back. And you're kind of like, that's like 7 years of what they're sitting there talking about. Like, why does anybody know this guy? And I'm like, it just made me feel like there's got to be something I'm missing. And I'm like, I sit there and I get to the end of the episode and I'm like, it's very rarely. By rarely, I mean, I don't think I've ever done this. The second it's over, I delete it off the DVR. Like, I'm never watching this again.
Yeah, totally. Because there's usually something like, I might go back and check that out again. And whether you do or not, at least you thought about it. So I can totally dig it, man.
Yeah, this is one of those like, nope. No,
while on the subject, or adjacent to the subject, let's talk about sketchy girlfriends real quick.
Oh yes.
Because I gotta mention it because I'm arrogant. I always love going back and watching the show. I enjoy it. It's fun reliving the conversation and not having it, just listening to it. But man, I cannot tell you how much of the last conversation we had that anytime, I feel really shitty about this too, so I'm glad to get to talk to you about it. Anytime you would say Linda Pillman, I've got Melanie in my head. I did it the whole freaking episode. And it's like, when I listen to it back, I can tell that I'm messing it up. And you were real nice about it. And you were trying to help me out. I'd never picked the shit up until I heard it on playback. And I'm like, God, this dude is trying to help me out. And I'm missing it. So anything that I said that sounded really negative towards Linda, I felt really bad about, because you're right. She was totally awesome. But man, I guess it's just because L and M are right there together, and I just messed myself up. Anytime I heard the name Pillman, I was like, Melanie's who I was thinking of. So it just seemed very, very negative about a real nice person. And I'm like, crap, I got to go explain that I'm just dumb and I can't keep names straight, apparently. But Melanie has set the bar high for sketchy wives, I guess you could say. So it's fascinating that the very next episode, you're like, oh, guess what's back?
Yes.
For real.
Don't you worry.
Yeah, you know what? You're not going to be missing out.
That's a bit of a trope in this show.
Seriously. Bots. Dicks.
Oh, yes.
Oh, let me tell you.
Hard. No, they check the... I don't hate this term, but I use it a lot. They check the Rockho box hardcore in the Nick Gage episode.
Rockho. no. Like, that's what the check mark is made of.
Man, it's rough. It's rough.
There was something in that, man. It's like there was an awful lot said in that. That sounded great, dude.
But I just, even like some of the JCW stuff back in the day wasn't my cup of tea, but it was so fun to watch some of it. This, man, it's not even remotely entertaining.
Yeah.
And you're gonna go try to kill David Arquette over some bullshit? Fuck you.
Okay, then. Yeah, you can't kill David Arquette, man. Have you not seen Scream? He'd already be dead.
and it's just that thing of, you know, I'm gonna let you in on a secret. I'm not a worker. But you hear these guys through shoot interviews and discussions, and I mean, if there's any other art form that takes a lot of trust, it's that. And he sits down and has a dinner with him the night before the match, and he says, and this is David Arquette talking. So, and to his credit, he sat down and he was there for the interview, which, you know, I thought, hey, that's kind of admirable which even makes me even think even more that he's going to show up again eventually and to do some more stories. But it's like, he's just like, listen, and he says, I agreed to do this death match. I got in weight over my head. I'm an actor. Just don't cut me. Do anything else you want to do. And like in one ear out the other, you know. And it's not even the freaking pizza cutter thing that he does. It's he smashing a light bulb and then trying to even poke him with it. I'm like, in his throat. And he's like, hey, everything was fun until we started being a bitch about it. Like, I mean, I've had another surprise. I was a bit of a wuss at this one point in my life, but I'm changing a tire one day, pouring sweat on asphalt, and I had a tire iron. I was to try to build me some brownie points. Wasn't even my tire. I'm changing it for somebody. Pouring sweat, it slits, crack, and I could feel instantly I'm cut. I'm pouring sweat, which makes it a lot worse than what it really was. But I did this number, and I'm like, oh crap. Old Jarwell's done count his last bottle of pills, y'all. So
that's an incredible way for a pharmacist to sign off, man. That's awesome.
I thought worst case scenario.
Yeah, my head's gone. Goddamn.
But to get a freaking crack in the neck like that, and you see it in the video, he's grabbing his throat like thinking, did I just get my jugular cut? And I'm about to freaking bleed out here in this shitty ass. It's not even a big arena. It's not even a big crowd. Maybe 200 if they're lucky.
12 people are watching David Arquette bleed to death.
Yeah.
So I ain't going out like that.
I could understand getting a little hot about that.
Yeah.
And you could see it in the video. It's like, F this, you know. But man, talk about an episode that I'm just like, not for me. Not for me at all. And every sense of what makes that show good has none of it, as far as I'm concerned.
I can totally dig it, man.
But at the same time, I think a lot of the stuff I'm saying, you could be like, but you like the New Jack? Like, it's just different. There's something not likable about Nick Cage at all. And I don't know why. There's something just crazy likable about New Jack to me.
The interesting thing I always thought about New Jack is one thing that people have to understand. And here I go again saying mean stuff about dead people. Like, if you want to say this is mean, but it's not mean. It's the truth. a whole lot of New Jack's shtick is bullshit. You just have to understand that. It's not real. It's not real.
Mm-hmm.
Did he whip Gypsy Joe's ass? Yes.
Yeah, that's
Yes,
documented for history.
he did. But it's like a lot of it's made up. A lot of it's not real. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But one of the things you get with New Jack, man, is you watch him like interact with other people that he's cool with, and it's like that's all you need to see, man. He's got people that liked him, really like legitimately liked him, and it's like that's cool.
There's something to be said for that.
I think so too. I think that's real cool, man. Especially almost everybody's thing about New Jack is like, well, yeah, it's weird. He's a different worker, but it's okay. It's the same thing people say about RVD and Sabu. It's like people have bitched about Rob Van Dam for years, only in the sense that not that he's dangerous or anything like that, just that it's really hard to wrestle him. Because the first time you wrestle Rob Van Dam is the first time you're wrestling anybody like him. He's just unique. He doesn't do stuff other people do. So most people's frustration with him was they just didn't think their match was very good because they didn't know what to do. But then there's other people that really enjoyed it. But also, I've never heard anybody that had a problem with this, like, personality-wise. It's never that. And then New Jack's got people that don't like his personality, but he's got a bunch of people that do as well. And it's like, nah. If all this shit was, like, true and all that, he would just stop getting fucking jobs, guys. It's like don't believe any of this shit, because a perfect example, we talk about all the time, is people always say, oh, man, that was a shoot. Oh, man, did you see that? That was a shoot, man. If you ever see a shoot, you'll know it because they look like crap. But if you've ever seen Antonio Inoki and Mighty Antonio, that's a shoot. That's what a shoot looks like, especially when you consider the stuff that happened off camera, which is to say what didn't happen, and that was Mighty Antonio ever getting a job anywhere ever again. That's when you know the shit's real. If half the shit about New Jack was true, he would not be working. And the same thing is true about Nick Gage or Cage or Flage or whatever the fuck his name is. If half his fucking it's just him talking shit. It's just a dude talking shit. Because if it was true, one of two things would have happened. He would have either actually come across somebody that actually doesn't play that shit and they would have fucking stomped him to death, or he would not get work. Come on, man. Come on.
And you know, if you're interested in New Jack, man, one of the things I'm pretty sure you can watch it on this very YouTube, or you can go to High Spots, and I'm sure they probably still have copies of. There was a DVD that came out years ago, back when those were a thing. It's called New Jack Hardcore. That if you put that video on and watch it, and you don't like him, then you just don't like him.
Yeah,
but if that doesn't make you like him, then I can't. I think you will like it if you're remotely considering it.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it, man. It's like that's a really good. You can do that with like there are certain bands that if you're on the fence, you don't know whether or not you like them. There are certain things you can listen to, and it's like, well, if anything's going to do it for you, it'll be this. And if this doesn't do it for you, probably just not for you. That's a really good point about New Jack. That's a really good one to do that.
And it's kind of mixture of documentary, mixture of a shoot. And because there's parts of it was just him sitting talking to the camera, kind of telling his story. Then there's parts of it where there's like, we're just going to follow New Jack around what looks like to be Los Angeles and harassing these people at a jewelry store all day.
See what he gets up to.
Yeah. Sitting here at the bar drinking my protein drink.
It's Tuesdays with New Jack.
Yeah.
Newsday.
You know, it's even in the dark side version of his story. There, maybe it's Foley, or it might actually be Jim Cornette. But a lot of people have the sentiment of, you know, I don't know if I ever really met the real Jerome, but it's hard to know what's real and what's not. But there's something about him. It's like what's documented for history is a guy that, you know, in a time period when this is all fake. Like, I don't know about that, dude.
I don't know that, brother.
I don't know about that, dude.
I don't know about that, dude.
I don't know about all that.
Hawk's a hell of a worker.
They're a hell worker, bro. Rick fell off the boat.
Let's go through all of our favorite little one-liners from the shoot interviews.
So, but man, it's sad to hear of his passing, but it's one of those stories that you see come across. You're kind of like, I was. What shocked me is the number of people that are like, "Oh my God!" It's like, yo, how did he make it this far? Be glad about that. Hardly a shock. I'll just say, but nonetheless, for anybody that knew or loved Jerome, condolences.
Yeah, it sucks. Like you said, the timing of it's crazy. With, hey, let's go make a documentary about this guy no one's ever heard of. And don't get me wrong, it's not like, oh, they should have done New Jack instead, because you're right, they already did. So it's cool. It's not like they already got that episode, but
they got that in.
Yeah, it's like, that's cool, man. Excuse me. Sorry. I can't remember who in the world it was now. I can't remember what it was now, but I'm just with you. Like, documentary footage of New Jack is interesting, and it's cool. He's an interesting guy, man.
Yeah, man. Good stuff.
Yeah. Man, I ain't been up to nothing. I apologize. I've got, my contributions are minimal today. I just haven't really done much of it. I went and got the Guinness coffee beer. I wanted to find out, and it's good. I like it, man.
That sounds good.
What else did I do today? I watched the Hawks today, and the Hawks played Houston. It went exactly the way you think it would.
You mean the playoff-bound Hawks?
Hell yes, I do.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting, man, because one way or the other, the two teams I loved the most when I was, two of the teams I loved the most when I was a little kid, one of them's going through. I'm here to tell you, man, I know that I'm biased because I'm a Hawks fan. But this is the thing about Tom Thibodeau, who was coaching the Knicks, and who, to be completely blunt, has done a hell of a good job because he's a good coach. But Tom Thibodeau has a method to his coaching. And his method basically means his starters play 35 fucking minutes a night.
That's gonna wear him down.
It's gonna catch up with you. Over the course of the season, people get tired. There's a reason that Thibodeau has never had much playoff success, and that's why. Now, the Knicks might beat the crap out of us, but I don't think they will because the Hawks are deep as shit. So it's like, that's good for us, man. So I'm like, all right, this is cool. I'm very excited. It's going to be awesome because the only thing better than pro basketball is playoff basketball. So I'm very excited, and they're looking good. I mean, it's they ended the season. We ended the season in a real good spot because we played against teams that are not very good, and we beat them just like we should. So that part's great. Like freaking who was it today? Bruno Fernando, man, went nuts today. Him and oh shoot. I always get it wrong. So Okongwu is the kid's name. He's the center that we drafted from USC. And I can never remember his first name. It's like a Wusi, Okongwu. Let me tell you why I get it wrong all the time. There used to be this kid that played center back for the U.S. national team, and he played in Italy for a little while. Huge kid. And his name was Oguchi Onyewu. So every time I'm trying to think of our center's name, I always want to call him Oguchi Onyewu because I've spent a lot longer saying that name, and I'm like, God, this sucks. So Okongwu, I finally get it right now, so at least I get the last name correct. Anyway, our backup centers went crazy today, and it was really fun, and that made me happy. And then, God, as many times as they ran the ad for when the playoffs start, you think I'd remember. I think it's Saturday because they got to do all the play-in stuff, and fortunately, we don't have to do any of that, but still, it's exciting. I'm looking forward to it, man. It'll be real cool. And if LeBron and the Lakers don't make it, we won't have to hear any more about, it's a COVID championship. It's the bubble championship. I'm like, man, if the Lakers hadn't won that fucking thing, you guys would not say that. It's a fact. It's a fact. I'm a Lakers fan. My man's a Yankees fan. He knows. If you pull for any of the teams that are the team in any sport, always excuses, always caveats, always, well, they didn't really deserve it because whatever, man. The hell out of here.
Yeah.
But there are several. There's really not anybody that I'm pulling against outside of maybe Philly, but at the same time, with Doc Rivers being the coach, man, it's hard for me not to even be okay with him. I just think Embiid's overrated as shit. The ESPN's fascination with Joel Embiid drives me nuts, primarily because he ain't that much better than everybody else. He's very good. Embiid's an unbelievable player, but they try to make that guy sound like he's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Oscar Robertson's love child, married to Magic Johnson's sister. And it's like, guys, you're nuts. You're crazy. It's like he's good, but he ain't that good. Anyhow, I do love Doc Rivers, though. But I guess Philly is the only team I'm kind of not pulling for. But as far as the West goes, I'm supposed to pull for the Lakers. And I love the Lakers and I love LeBron, but they got lots of teams in the West that are good and fun to watch. And also, despite being a fan, there is something to be said for a playoff that LeBron is out of. Because then people have to talk about somebody fucking else. So it's like, hey, man, you can't
What
lose.
are we gonna do?
You can't lose. Oh, dude, all they'll do is just talk shit about, oh, he lost again. Oh, my God, he lost again. It's like, fuck you guys, man. It's never going to be enough. So, and if they genuinely dislike the guy, it would be okay. But I know what your fucking problem is. Your problem is, as I say all the time, Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier in baseball was one thing, and it's a huge thing, but it was one thing. Willie Mays had a whole other color barrier he had to break because Jackie was the first guy to play baseball. Willie was the first black guy to be the best baseball player on this planet, acknowledged at the major league level. So the level of hate he got, totally every bit as intense as Jackie, if not worse. People never talk about that, though, because, well, okay, cool. But it's true. It's true. LeBron gets hated on. He's not Michael. He's not going to be as good as Michael. 6 championship. It's not even that anymore. People don't care because it's like we talked about the creation of a situation where you win one way or the other. Why is Michael Jordan Michael Jordan? Because of Nike, right? Who makes LeBron James' shoes? Nike. They don't fucking care. They win one way or the other. The NBA wins one way or the other. That rivalry's not even what they're upset about. What corporate media, ESPN in this case, are upset about is that LeBron James, like Willie Mays being the best black player in baseball, LeBron James is that motherfucker in the NBA at a time that they are eclipsing and surpassing your precious NFL. And that's why they hate that guy so much. Period. Point blank. End of story. That's why we hate that guy.
Yeah. Trying to look and see what the schedule was, and all it does is update up until today. But y'all don't help me.
Seriously. I think it seemed like it was, I don't know.
Computer jerk.
Jerk. You freaking be like stupid panda jerk. I love panda jerk.
Yeah, it gives me the scores and schedule up until today. And I'm like, that's really not what I was asking you for. Thank you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
You bastards. Well, maybe they just don't know. Maybe that's why, because they don't. Maybe it could be to be determined. But at least give me a to be determined something. They ain't even saying that.
Dude, that ain't no good. Needs to let us know what's happening. But I don't know, man. It seems like I've got Wednesday and Saturday stuck in my head, but Wednesday's way too quick because, again, the play-in, you've got like 2 games in that. So if you give everybody the rest of the week off and they start playing over the weekend, I'd believe that. I can see that happening. Cool. It'd be cool. I'm looking forward to it. I hope we do well. I'd love it if we made it out of the first round. That'd be awesome. And that sounds stupid, but got to be realistic about these things, man. I mean, if you don't think the Hawks can win, what's the point of being excited? Well, you don't follow basketball. That's your attitude. You don't get it. It's like we got. But I hope we can get as far as we can, just because this group of players is really, really fun. And you know how it is in basketball, man. That door is always open, and you always got somebody you like that leaves. It happens all the time. But I'm pretty sure that the huge off-season guy, I'm pretty sure will be John Collins, because I just don't think. I know we have to save massive money for Trey, because Trey, you're going to have to supermax Trey the second his contract comes up. and you can't really do that with John. So I don't know. I hope they can work something out though, man, because they are a very fun duo and they seem to enjoy playing together. So we'll see. I don't mean to be borrowing trouble, man. Playoffs haven't even started yet, so we'll enjoy that first, and then whatever we have to do, that's fine.
That's cool, man.
But they are a fun group, though, man. I think it's that way. We talk about all the time with baseball, man. If you watch a baseball team, you spend so much time with them that you get your favorites and you start getting feels for personalities and all that's cool. Basketball's the exact same way. It's just a whole lot fewer guys to learn the names and faces of. So they're enjoyable, man.
Yeah, man. Just happened upon the NBA Network last night, just in time to hear Rudy Tomjanovich give his speech, being inducted, and as much as he's Rudy. He's one of those guys. Like, I was like, man, how has this guy not have been in for years? But that's just how it works out sometimes.
That's actually what Dominique was saying today on the broadcast.
Yeah, yeah, man. It's like why did this take this long? But man, just talk about a speech where he got his stuff in. He got everybody.
Man. That's cool, man.
He named everybody. So I was like, man, it was just kind of cool.
Yeah, man. The only speech that I saw out, I had to watch Tim because it's just so cool that Tim Duncan is an institution. I love that guy, and it was cool. I mean, it was hard because Tim is not a public speaker in the sense not that he's not good at it. He actually did a really good job. He's just not comfortable doing stuff like that.
It's not my thing. Even in the way they had it set up, there was still a decent crowd there.
Yeah, you're right, man.
So I could just see him be like, "Yeah, man, thanks."
Any way someone else could do this for me? But he did a real good job. It was cool. And I haven't seen Vanessa Bryant's because I don't think I can watch that just because it's sad. But I did hear one thing from it, and I will say this because I don't know if I've complained about it on here, but I know I've bent your ear about it because don't get me wrong. Kobe and Michael, I get it. Everyone gets it. Star power, all that shit. I get it. I was hoping that Shaq would do it, or Phil would do it, or Jerry West would do it. Because, boy, you talk about the Kobe guy. That's who I was hoping would do it. But what Vanessa Bryant said, and just it was a little snippet of the speech that she did, because that's a tough situation. So I just, but I'm happy to say I listened to enough of the speech to hear her say that she called Michael and asked him to do it. And I'm like, now I'm so glad I heard that because that's completely different. It's just totally different now, man, because it's not the league trying to, we can get Michael to do it. And it's not Michael. I know it's mean, but Michael's a dick. So it's not Michael being like, hey, I can capitalize on this and get my name in print. It wasn't anything like that. She asked him for a favor, and he said yes, and that's awesome. So I'm really glad that I heard that because it's like anything Michael Jordan, I'm immediately like, oh, God. So it's nice to hear that and be like, no, not this time, man. No, that's not the case here, man. This was a real good thing. So that made me happy. And again, Tim's speech was awesome. And it was real cool because it's just one of those things, man. But I love that they got David Robinson to induct him. That's just great because I love it. It's great. And I love both those guys, so that's real cool. And I'm like, I'm glad they did D-Rob. It would have been interesting if it was Pop. But, man, you watch Tim Duncan's speech and you find out why it wasn't. And it's because Tim goes through everybody. It was neat because when he's talking about teammates, and he does a good job, but he gets down to Tony and Manu. And, of course, the people are going nuts for Tony and Manu, and they click the camera on the crowd, and they're sitting together, and I'm like, now that's cool. That is awesome that they're hanging out. Yeah. All that was great. But he builds the crescendo is Pop. That's the last person that he thanks. And it's too funny because a couple of times he's all like, guys, he's going to get mad at me for talking about him. He's going to be mad. But Tim held it together pretty well. Pop held it together pretty well, but I'm like, if Popovich had been asked to induct him, he would have turned it down because I don't think he could have done it without getting emotional. And I'm like, I don't blame either of you. I understand. So, and like you said, D-Rob is so perfect.
That's a close relationship.
Dude, they're still working together because he's on the staff, and I'm like, God dang, that's cool. That is just so cool, man.
I hadn't seen Popovich in a long time.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he turned into Lebowski.
Ashley Schaefer. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's like straight
yeah.
up Ashley Schaefer in it.
But they put the camera on him a time or two, and I didn't realize it.
Oh,
And then they
sure.
put a camera back on him, and they said his name. I was like, oh.
Oh, that's who that. Okay. All right.
It's like, change the look up.
Yeah,
Got
sure,
his
man.
my Shawn Michaels Kentucky Waterfall going.
Kentucky Waterfall. Yeah, I think he got inspired by Tim. You know, Tim always had like the super short crop, man. And then when he retired, he started growing his dreads out. They look awesome. It's like, man, Tim Duncan looks cool as hell these days. I love it, man. So I think Pop is all like, yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
For real. And they go to Manu and Tony, and they're all like, man, fuck you guys.
Nah.
Now, Manu looks way cool. Manu was one of those cats that something about, like, I don't know what it is, man. Anytime your hair starts going thin, the guys that decide to just get rid of it, man, that's a great look, man. That always looks good. I've never seen anybody that doesn't suit. It's like, yeah, man, just buzz that shit off. You'll be cool. You'll be all right, man.
Yeah.
It's even when it gets, because, I mean, Manu's hair is black. It's dark. So when it grows back, it still looks good, man. That's cool. Y'all good?
We can tell you're clinging. Don't cling.
Yeah, it's cool. That's all good. You're fine, man. It was Mike Wilbon, who I always kill, but this was hilarious. This was one of my favorite things ever, man. They were talking to Tony Kornheiser about keeping the horseshoe, and he was just like, man, Tony, I don't know what the problem is, Tony. Me and Charles Barkley, we've been telling you for years, come on home. Just come on home. I absolutely love the expression, come on home. I'm like, that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I kill Wilbon for everything, so he deserves credit for that because that was funny as hell.
Give up the ghost.
Come on home. Come on home.
Come on in, brothers. The water's fine.
Water's fine, good brother. I think there was a pay-per-view tonight.
Man, I just checked the results, and it was pretty much what I expected. There's not a single thing changed hands.
See, that's where I was at, too. I actually saw a prediction page earlier today, and it had to have been a joke. Had to have been. Because they picked Charlotte, of course, because everyone picked, they're going to put it back on Charlotte. No, they're not. No, they're not. The only fucking thing I can guarantee you is that Asuka's not winning it.
Yeah.
They're not. They're not going to do that. They won't. So don't worry about it. I don't understand why that woman takes shit for everything, every match, all the fucking time. It's like they were still pissing and moaning on Wrestle Talk about the Omni Flare. I'm like, motherfucker, she's not even in the goddamn match. So what is wrong with y'all, man?
She cannot do anything right.
Yeah,
some people
can't
no matter what.
Absolutely, it's like okay.
There was some talk of cancel Charlotte for liking a Gal Gadot quote or a tweet this past week about some serious real talk stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, y'all, calm down.
Yeah.
Because could not do anything right, according to some people, no matter what it was.
It's true, including being the best fucking wrestler in that entire company for years now. It's very, all the Charlotte stuff is so frustrating, and I guess it's just you bracing yourself for the worst. But I'm like, all of that, I don't understand it because people whine so much about, oh, soy boy, PC culture, and oh my God. It's like, okay, but you guys like Rhea Ripley, who has fucking whined nonstop since last WrestleMania. She has done nothing but, Charlotte took my belt. I'm like, will you fucking sack up? You got the fucking thing back. It's like, why are you still complaining about this? And why are you not getting killed for it?
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God, I like Rhea, but it's like, you need to shut the fuck up about this crybaby bullshit. You're a big deal. You were a big deal in NXT. You're a big deal now. They gave you the fucking title. Shut the fuck up. Oh my God. It's like, she's making me crazy, Brett. It's like, God, man. That's insane stuff.
It's the only person to give Charlotte a good match. Asuka, I can't work with this.
I can't do that. You let me and Charlotte have a match and we'll headline. It would be fantastic. Her father was a terrible worker. Ric Flair had the same match for 25 years. Not like
Charlotte
me,
Flair.
not like Bret Hart. I
Charlotte.
didn't do a snap suplex and a Russian leg sweep and a short elbow and take a turnbuckle bump on my chest every single match of my life. And I don't mind stuff like that. I don't mind guys doing the same stuff because I enjoy those matches. It's cool. But all the stuff that Bret kills Ric Flair for, it's like everyone does that shit, dude. It's just listening to Bret Hart talk about Ric Flair. It's like David Letterman. It reminds me of David Letterman's video where Jay Leno was like, "No, don't blame Conan."
Nobody is. Don't
absolutely
worry.
Nobody blames Conan. That video is so awesome. It's like, it's gonna be okay, Jay. Nobody's blaming Conan. It's so awesome. It's funny because it's funny, but also there just seems to be a little bit of catharsis in it because it's all like, Leno wanted to tee off Letterman wanted to tee off on Leno for years, and it's all like, you can do it now. And it's like, cool, man, go knock it out.
It was long. I don't remember exactly how long, but long enough after all that had went down. Letterman has Conan on his show. And this might have been in the last year. The he gets around to bringing up the Tonight Show and how that went down. And of course, Conan's joke is, I was told we wouldn't talk about this. But he put it very well and summed up all of it in one line when he says, and I'm paraphrasing some of it, but he's talking about the Tonight Show situation, how he went down. But the part I remember very well is him saying, now I was watching all that go down, and I said, that's the Jay I know.
Yeah, dude, seriously, man. What was the thing he was talking about, going around and, hanging out in the basement waiting for someone. It's like, that's not what you do. You go get another job. And he's talking about, and then I would have a job, Conan would have a job, Jay would have a job, and that new kid, what's that new kid's name? Lonnie Donegan? yeah, Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon would have a job, and it's all like, Lonnie Donegan was like this 50s singer. I'm like, I don't know where the hell he pulled that name out of nowhere. But the fascinating thing to me is that you can take Leno, who really does come across as a used car salesman. He really does. He was not a very good stand-up. He's just a smarmy comedian. He's a smarmy late show host. He did Conan wrong. And somehow, when you do finally replace him, you find someone who is even more corporate stoogey, sleazeball. I mean, it's unbelievable that you can go from Jay Leno ultimately to Jimmy Fallon. Jay Leno was your host, and you're going to step down when you replace him? That's amazing, but they figured it out. Well, he's Lauren's special boy. Lauren likes him. Like, oh, my God. It's like,
I'll find a way to sink this.
Fallon is the worst. Oh, my God. And we've talked about it, man. Like, I think every late night show now is trash. They all suck. And I won't even say, where I'm going with it, but not in comparison to Jay. And for me, not in comparison to Dave, because Dave wasn't good for a long, long, long time before they got rid of his ass. But boy, that guy that Dave gave a job after him, Craig Ferguson, killed them all. He killed them all when he was on, and he kills them all now. Because it's just all garbage now. That stuff is so, so awful. But it's like we talk about with, like, radio is so bad now because, man, if it's not Pablum, you will never, ever hear it on radio because the record companies are trying to hedge their bets and, well, we want to make money like it's 1996. Yeah, but you're not going to do that. You're selling horse whips to people with cars. It's not going to be like it was. So calm down. Yeah. Anyhow, I got sidetracked. But yes, anyway, I guess in summary, late night is trash now. Has been for a while. But they just
don't bother with it.
Oh, me neither. Yeah, I haven't watched any of that shit in a long time. But part of it, to be honest with you, man, is like during the heyday of, I didn't like it then. Never liked Leno. I don't know anyone who did, to be honest with you. Dave's funny. Dave has his moments, but again, Dave went sour way before he went off the air. Ferguson was great. Nobody now is worth a darn. I never was a Jon Stewart guy. Never, ever. Oh my God, will I ever be a Stephen Colbert guy? Didn't like him on Comedy Central. Didn't like the rapport. Don't like him now. He's not my guy, man. That is not my thing. And it's not politics. Plenty of people do political comedy. That's okay. That's cool. All right. That's fine. But anyway, got way sidetracked. I don't even know why I'm talking about that junk. Except that I've spent today. I did watch the "Don't Blame Conan" clip because that is funny. And then I just spent the rest of my time watching the Jay Leno fly on YouTube because it's the best Craig Ferguson compilations in the universe. I was saying, man, I thought it was like a CBS archivist. I can't believe anyone has all that footage and spends that much time with it. It's like, that's awesome, man. Okay.
That's just hilarious. I dig that stuff a lot.
That's my guy, man. He's I was watching the one earlier. This is so stupid. But apparently they had decided that the bit they wanted to do was that Jeff had gone at the party for Labor Day and he was drunk. So Jeff doing the drunk thing is quite funny, but somebody writes an email to, Craig and Jeff and Secretariat, and this was back before Secretariat Stable was on stage. So he rings the doorbell, and Secretariat runs out, and they actually changed the song because instead of it just being the traditional Secretariat song, they're playing Marty Robbins' El Paso because they had made some little passing joke about it. So anyway, Secretariat comes out and does the thing, and everybody does the dance, goes back in, it's all good, goes back to read the thing, and reads the email that asked Jeff the question. It's so stupid, but Jeff is all like, "Hey man, did you see that horse? That was wild, man." It's so stupid. Just the crap that they say to each other to break each other up is so awesome, man. You see that horse, man? That was crazy. Like, what the hell, man?
What is going on?
That was wild, man. God, that's such good stuff, man.
Yep. That's pretty much the jam.
Yeah, I guess so, man. I thought I'd done something else worth talking about, but obviously I did not.
Man, that's cool, man.
Yeah, I watched the Brewers beat us today. That stunk.
That's a little creepy.
I will say though, we have the little, I think it's permanent, not permanent, but for the whole season. Atlanta's doing the 44 and the grass and the outfield grass. And I noticed today that Milwaukee's got a patch too, which is awesome. That is super cool. That I don't think everybody's doing it, and everybody shouldn't do it. But those two teams, I'm like, oh, I love this. That was cool, man. I'm still not happy they beat us, but that's okay. At least you got that cool patch on your sleeve. That's cool, man.
Yeah, makes it feel a little bit better.
yeah, it's cool. Hey, you guys are all right.
Yeah. Heck yeah, man. That's what's up.
I think that's what's up, man. Y'all, thank you for watching. See you on the next one.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'll see y'all. Bye.